Hello, this is Pigsy doing another video. Talk about maybe my research into, I think, why people reject people, prejudice, and I guess reactions we have to indifference. I believe it's apart from just being a genetic, we're either attracted to people genetically because A, they're similar to us, culturally, intellectually, or appearance or something. They're drawn to them for a whole host of things, but one of them is the genetic, how they smell, how they make you feel as well. So it could be that they're a kind of frequency, especially sound. You know, if someone has annoying, they consider an annoying voice. It's not always annoying to other people. You know, like I saw somebody they had a kind of funny laugh. I can see it being socially embarrassing in some circumstances, but on a whole, it was also quite entertaining. So it didn't really bother me. But that's because maybe certain extrovert attributes to my character. I mean, someone having a funny laugh doesn't upset the social norms really. It just draws a lot of attention into the room. Which can be problematic. But also things like racism. So if somebody looks different to you, they're likely to contain different bacteria, pathogens. So, you know, if you enter a different area, then it can feel like that. Or you come across, somebody you haven't met before, that could draw certain interest. It's not that you mean to be. It's like you're biologically safeguarding yourself. Your body's saying, "Hey, you sure?" I don't know what. Maybe that in the past disease was a lot worse. So if you met a different tribe, then you could have that. And I guess with the tribes as well, they were less mixed up. So if I met a white tribe, they might all have blonde hair and blue eyes because they've got a limited genetic mix. But then certain other problems may arise from, things like people having stillbirth. Sometimes there might be a genetic abnormality in there, if I can even say it, and that can have an impact. And until your body accustoms and syncs with the other person's genetics, that's why you might find that somebody might have miscarriage, and then suddenly they become a lot more fertile and it's successful. Just their body's priming up for it, and it may be how it sort of how they mix together the DNA that might have been defective, and there might be some kind of feedback loop. Maybe the body realises that was a bit of a mistake. We should do it the other way around, or when something is complete, how the body responds to it, so that it's compatible with their own DNA, because it's created something that's completely new and original. And that's why some genes are more dominant than others, because maybe they filter out as a better, a more suitable mix. And that's not all genetic racism. It's just it could be a lot different. If somebody, for instance, if we had a couple, one who's got a darker skin and one's got a light skin, and if they lived in a place that's cold, they might have offspring. More offspring may come out of lighter skin. But if they were in a hotter environment, they might have children with darker skin, and it's because the genetics are already kind of aware of the environment, so their bodies adapt to the environment, and also maybe some bacteria that might be present in their bodies are also giving information off, because people are born with, they get coated anyway, and there's things that must be probably try to start living in newborn bodies straight away. And they start to sink in with their immune system, because earlier exposure is better than later exposure, because then your body's become accustomed to it and sees it as part of its development process rather than an invader. And so that's kind of an impact. I saw something basically. This was started was somebody saw a robot and they felt uncomfortable about it, and someone explained that's because they sense it's kind of like different, diseased, or it's dead in some way, and so the body has a kind of inclination to reject it. And also other things I've mentioned to someone earlier, like how young people respond to older people, like you can catch old age, but there's a fear of, it reminds them what they're going to become. They're going to become older, they're going to change, and that's what they may concern themselves. But on the other side of the coin is that anything with an older person has survived the test of time. So if you had bacteria or anything related to that person, it may actually be a more a stronger strain that will protect you, give you higher immunity. Yeah, it's a bit like this stuff with the COVID. Some people that survived the Spanish flu have naturally a very good immune system, or their diet, lifestyle and everything else caters for that. And the other thing about race is that we also eat different foods. We probably don't so much nowadays. It's a bit more, I can eat rice and Indian food or whatever. But that option wasn't there maybe in the past. Like sometimes I find it easier to eat things like stew and potatoes and things like that. Something partially because I was raised on certain types of diet and my body's become accustomed, but it's also made out of that diet. So there's probably other things, because we see genetic as one level, but there's also energetic level as well. So it's a bit more like if you talk about quantum medicine. Like if I eat something with a certain frequency, that frequency might remain with that food. It may end up just syncing with my own body. It's a bit like if you drink warm water, it's better than if you drink freezing cold water, because it's more in sync with your own natural body. If you eat fruit, say that's been in the sunlight, because it's more bioactive, so it's been activated by the light. It naturally reacts to the light, so even if it's dying, it's still active, and by warming up, chemically it's easier to digest. Same with meat, you process meat because meat in its colder form, it still has a connection to the original host at some level. If you froze it straight away, if you left the environment to get to it, certain bacteria would be breaking it down, and that bacteria would either, depending on what type of bacteria it was, so if it's like certain matured meats, then it could be beneficial for you, but if it's not, it could also be quite detrimental to you. So it's just the other side of the coin. Okay, anyway, this is Piggy signing off the video. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.